Hey, how's it going, Bible Talk family? Welcome back to Bible Talk with BW, where we read scripture, we observe it, and we apply it to our lives. I know I've been gone for a while. I apologize for that. I'm coaching basketball. Our season started, and so I just haven't had a whole lot of time to sit down and study, and I just felt like I needed to know what I'm talking about in order to make a video, but I kind of put that aside, and I just gotta uh, put content out and continue on going through the scriptures. So I think it'll be, at least during basketball season, it'll be more of a read and react, kind of allowing the scripture to speak for itself, and not so much my thoughts about what we're going through the whole week, but just kind of reading together and learning together as we're doing it. So that being said, I'm going to skip chapter 36. I did read chapter 36. It's just, it talks about Esau moving, and then it talks about the descendants of Esau. It's a fairly boring chapter with a lot of difficult names to say. And so I'm just going to skip that chapter and get into Genesis 37. I encourage you to read Genesis 36. I encourage you to read every verse, every line, line by line, precept by precept, as Isaiah says. But so we're just going to get into Genesis 37. And this is a story that a lot of people know. And I'm super excited to read the story again. And hopefully you guys are as well. This is Joseph's dream. And hopefully you guys know there's a movie about Joseph, and a Disney movie about Joseph. And it's just one of those stories that are in, children's Bibles, books, and that kind of stuff. So it's super exciting, and I'm excited to get into it. And also, real quick, I just feel like, especially during basketball season, I might be switching up what I do a little bit. I kind of want to get into maybe answering more questions if anybody has. I just want to find a way to get more people into interested into reading through the Bible. And I know hot topics are a way that people will see and want to click. So if you guys have any questions about the Bible that you want me to answer, or my opinions about something, or anything like that, as long as it's respectable, I encourage questions, and I'll get to any questions or any section of scripture that you want to go over, or maybe challenging portions of scripture that you want just to get another perspective on, or a perspective on. I'm all for that. I love it. Apologetic. It's called apologetics. I love apologetics. I love answering questions that people might have, and I don't have all the answers, but I've read a lot of Bible in my day, and I've read a lot of commentators, and I've listened to a lot of speakers, and so whatever wisdom I've learned, I would love to share it. So yeah, so if you guys have any questions, or want me to talk about tough topics, or anything like that that you feel like other people would benefit from hearing about, yeah, just let me know. Okay, that being said, let's get into Joseph's dream. Now Jacob lived in the land where his father had sojourned, in the land of Canaan. These are the records of the generations of Jacob. Joseph, when 17 years of age, was pasturing the flock with his brothers while he was still a youth, along with the sons of Bildah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought back a bad report about them to their father. And I feel like this is the younger brother being a tattletale, trying to get their brothers in trouble. One thing I do know about this story, and we're in verse 3 quickly, this whole story is a picture of, it's a shadow of Jesus. So we're going to see a lot of parallels between Joseph and Jesus. And I would encourage you, while we're reading this, to read the Gospels. You should always be reading the Gospel. Whatever you're reading, also read the Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Especially Matthew, Mark, Luke, the Synoptic Gospels, and then, of course, John as well. But you should always be reading the Gospels with stuff. So as we're going through this, just keep in mind, try to see Jesus in this story. It's super amazing. Now Israel, remember, Israel is Jacob. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his sons because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a vari-colored tunic. Now, in the movie, this is actually a very colorful tunic, but colorful tunic in the story is talking about he was a sheep herder, so it was a tunic, it was a cloak, it was a coat where there was a lot of different pockets for tools and things to be kept in, and it was just a way to show like he was in charge of everything because he would have this special coat where he could store all of his stuff to do his job. His brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, so they hated him and could not speak to him on friendly terms. Okay, got to think back to the Pharisees, right? The Pharisees hated Jesus. Jesus and the Father are very close, right? I mean, Jesus calls the Father Father, which is to the Pharisees blasphemy in a way. Then Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said to them, "Please listen to this dream which I have had. For behold, we are binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf rose up and also stood erect, and behold, your sheaves gathered around and bowed down to my sheaf." I hear my son calling me, which he should be in bed. So we'll see what happens. Then his brothers said to him, "Are you actually going to reign over us? Are you really going to rule over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Now you remember the Pharisees. The Pharisee says, "Will we have this man rule over us?" So you see a direct parable. They said, "We will not have this man rule over us." Now he had still another dream and related it to his brothers and said, "Lo, I have had still another dream, and behold, the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me." He related it to his father and to his brothers, and his father rebuked him and said to him, "What is this dream that you have had? Shall I and your mother and your brothers actually come to bow ourselves down before you to the ground?" His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the saying in mind. Then his brothers went to pasture their flocks, their father's flock in Shechem. Israel said to Joseph, "Are not your brothers pasturing the flocks in Shechem? Come, and I will send you to them." And he said to them, "I will go." Then he said to them, "Go now and see about the welfare of your brothers and the welfare of the flock, and bring word back to me." So he sent him from the valley of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. The one thing I love about this story is the obedience of Joseph. He's a very obedient son, and I find it interesting that his brothers hated him for having a dream, and I find that, man, there's a lot of people who will try to tear down our dreams. You know, there's a lot of people who almost seems like they're waiting for us to share our dreams just so they can turn it down. And because of that, I feel like there's a lot of people who won't even share what their dreams are because they're just afraid of rejection or afraid of being made fun of for their dreams. And so, you know, that's something I love about this story is that Joseph wasn't afraid to share his dream, even though it caused problems. He shared it, it caused problems. Then he shared his other dream, and it caused more problems. But he wasn't afraid to share what his dreams were or what God had revealed to him in his dreams. And I like that they could interpret his dreams without him having to say anything. I find that interesting too. This is going to be a lot more reading reaction. Like I said, I haven't had time to study this really, so this is kind of my first initial thoughts as I'm reading it. But yeah, I just love the fact that he wasn't afraid to share his dreams, even though it caused problems within his own family. But yeah, I find that something where I would write down and try to study and chew on a little bit more. A man found him, and behold, was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, "What are you looking for?" He said, "I am looking for my brothers. Please tell me where they are pasturing the flocks." Then the man said, "They have moved from here, for I heard them say, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. um, so I'll just stop right there. We'll get through the rest of this tomorrow. Oh no, it's only 10 minutes. I'll get through this. This is verse 18. When they saw him from a distance, and before he came close to him, they plotted against him to put him to death. We see Jesus was plotted against. The Pharisees, they gathered and they were plotting away to try and kill him, but they couldn't, because it says that because they were afraid of the people, for the people held him highly esteemed. And so that's why everything that happened with Jesus happened at nighttime. They said to one another, "Here comes this dreamer. Now then, come and let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits. And we will say, a wild beast devoured him. Then let us see what will become of his dreams." They're out to get his dreams. Oh man, it gets so good. All right, well, let's get through this chapter. But I love this story, and I know a lot of other people do as well. So it's going to be exciting. Like I said, I'm not. We're just going to go through it together. So, but Reuben heard this and rescued him out of their hands and said, "Let us not take his life." Reuben further said to them, "Shed no blood. Throw him into this pit that is in the wilderness, but do not lay hands on him, that he might rescue him out of their hands, to restore him to his father." Now, again, when I heard this about Reuben, my first thought was about Pontius Pilate. You know, Pontius Pilate with Jesus. He said, "My hands are clean from this man." Because he tried to release Jesus to them, and they took the other guy first, which his name was Jesus as well. But you know, they released the other guy instead of Jesus, and he said, "Well, blood is on your hands." And then the Jews, or the people there, they said, "Let it be on us and our children's children," so on our further generations. Which is why I believe we see so much turmoil and so much blindness within the Israelite community. You know, I've been to Israel, and they're so fanatical about God, of the Bible, Yahweh, but they're just so blind to the reality of Jesus. And it's so, and you can point out prophecies and scriptures, and they're just blind to it. It's like, it says the veil's been over their eyes, and yeah, it's just amazing stuff. Sorry, that's where my mind went when I thought about Reuben and what he's doing, because he still let him go to the pit, but he said, "Do not kill him." But what do you expect would happen? So it came about, when Joseph reached his brothers, that they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the vari-colored tunic that was on him, and they took him and threw him into the pit. Now the pit was empty, without any water in it. Then they sat down to eat a meal, and as they raised their eyes and looked, behold, a caravan of Ishmaelites was coming from Gilead with their camels, bearing aromatic gum and balm and myrrh, on their way to bring them down to Egypt. I find that interesting too. You look at the birth of Jesus. You know, the wise men brought Jesus just different spices, and I know there's a correlation there. I can't think of it right now, but it's just interesting stuff to think about. This is verse 26. Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is it for us to kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him, for he is our brother, our own flesh." And his brothers listened to him. Then some Midianite traders passed by, so they pulled him up and lifted Joseph out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. Thus they brought Joseph into Egypt. So you see, Jesus was also sold for 20 shekels of silver. It's blood money, so to speak. It's the average price for a slave in Bible times. Now Reuben returned to the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit. So he tore his garments. He returned to his brothers and said, "The boy is not here. As for me, where am I to go?" So they took Joseph's tunic and slaughtered a male goat and dipped the tunic in the blood. And they sent the the very colored tunic and brought it to their father and said, "We found this. Please examine it to see whether it is your son's tunic or not." Um, I'm sure there's a parallel there that this I'm missing right now. Um, you know, maybe the people thought they killed Jesus. His father's going to think uh, that Joseph is dead, but later on we're going to see that he's not. I don't know. I'm just putting things together right now. Then he examined it and said, "It is my son's tunic. A wild beast has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces." So Jacob tore his clothes and put sackcloth on his loins and mourned for his son many days. So ripping your cloak is something that they did to mourn in Bible times. It's just a way of ripping your in pain, just kind of like the Hulk. So Jacob tore his clothes and put sackcloth on his loins and mourned for his son many days. Then all his sons and all his daughters arose to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, "Surely I will go down to Sheol in mourning for my son." So his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, Pharaoh's officer, the captain of the bodyguard. All right, this is that was chapter 37. We'll continue on chapter 38. This is going to get exciting. This whole story is a huge parallel between Joseph and Jesus. Jesus is the better than. You got to remember, the Old Testament is the New Testament concealed, and the New Testament is the Old Testament revealed. If you don't learn anything else from this story, I just pray that will be something that sticks with you. The New Testament is the Old Testament revealed. The Old Testament is the New Testament concealed. So as you're reading through the Old Testament, you got to look for the New Testament. And as you're reading through the New Testament, you got to look back to the Old Testament. Because New Testament principles are Old Testament stories. And so, especially as we get into the laws and everything, oh man, there's so many amazing things. But I'm going to try to do a better job of at least putting something out. Like I said, even if it's just answering a question here and there, reading a verse, maybe just every day at lunchtime at work, I put something out. I do want to be more consistent with that. And I apologize for the little gap in time, but I love the Bible. I'm just trying to find ways to get more people to watch. And maybe that just means making videos about current events and relating it to Bible. So I don't know, but yeah, I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you for your time. All right, until next time.